In this video, I'm going to review a couple tools that can help you to adjust your image and get spots out, basically. It's like erasing spots, only we're not really erasing. I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm using Adobe Photoshop CS6 in this video for your demonstration purposes, and there's two tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to use the spot healing brush and two major tools. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. Now the shortcut to the clone stamp tool, which is the one I'm going to start with, is the S key. Now, a few years ago, scientists cloned sheep. I don't know if you remember hearing about that. That's basically what we're going to be doing today, except I'm going to clone some butterflies. And so to do that, I'm going to go to the clone stamp tool, hit S on your keyboard, it jumps to the clone stamp tool. I'm not going to use the pattern stamp today, I'm just going to use the clone stamp. Now, like any brush, you have an options bar up here at the top, and or a control bar rather, at the top, and I'm going to adjust the size of my brush up here. You can also adjust the hardness. I'm the hardness set at 0 to start with. I'm just going to make maybe 75 or so pixels. Yeah, that'll work. And so when you click initially with the clone stamp tool, and I've had a lot of people that needed help with Photoshop ask me about this. You click and you have this warning come up. You hit OK, and you click and you have this warning. Hit OK, and you can keep doing this all day long. I wouldn't recommend it though. It's a waste of time. Read what Photoshop's warnings are and try to understand what they are. It says could not use the clone stamp because the area to clone has not been defined. Option click to define a source point. So before the scientists could clone a sheep, what did they need? They needed a sheep. So that's what we're doing. I wish Photoshop worded this a little different, or wish Adobe worded this a little different. It should say press the option key down and click simultaneously to define a source point. That's what they really mean. So I'm going to hit OK one last time. I'm going to hold the option key down, and you see when I hold the option key down, my mouse changes from a circle to this little bullseye looking thing. And when I have that bullseye, I click once and then let go of everything. You can hold your hands up in the air like you're on a roller coaster. Just let go of everything. So I just held the option key down once, let go after you click. So option click. And now I'm going to hover over here, and you see it already tells me what I'm going to do before I even do anything. It gives me a little preview. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. It gives me a little preview of what I'm going to be able to paint. So I can clone that butterfly. Now as I'm going along here, you see it's just copying the butterfly from top to bottom. And I can come down here. By the way, I do not have aligned checked. This sometimes is checked by default. You can check it sometimes it's good to check it. I like to have it unchecked, but if you uncheck aligned, you can come down here and you can paint a butterfly down here. Now as you're painting, notice over here, I'm going to zoom in, try to zoom in. Notice over there, over where my butterfly is, I can't really point over there, but up at the top of my butterfly's head where I originally sampled from, notice that little crosshair, and as I move down, that crosshair actually moves with my mouse. So you'll see that crosshair and it actually moves around. So you kind of got to pay attention to where that crosshair is so that you can know where you're painting from and where you're painting, what you're sampling from. So that's how you quickly clone butterflies. Pretty easy. I'm going to step back, choose edit, step back a few times. The shortcut key is Command Option Z or Control Option Z on a PC, and I'm back at the original stage of my image. Now there's another tool called, actually I'm going to skip down to the healing brush tool. The spot healing brush tool is an automatic tool. That's the first one that comes up right here. It looks like a little band-aid icon when you click on it. I'm going to go down to the healing brush tool because it's very similar to what I just did, the clone stamp tool. With the healing brush tool, hold down the option key again. Oops, sorry about that. Hold down the option key again. It gives you that little bullseye icon. Click on where you want to sample from. Come over, and by the way, it does change your size sometimes, so I'm going to make the size of my brush about the same, 75, hardness at 0. I'm going to kind of clone that butterfly over, and it works the same way. It looks like it's doing the same thing initially. I kind of paint my butterfly in there. He's flying on top right over. and I let go. When you let go though, notice it's not really a clone. It's kind of a it's not really a clone. It's really a little bit darker. I'm gonna choose view, uncheck extra, so get rid of that grid. It's a little bit darker than the original butterfly. It kind of took that butterfly and blended it with the background. Let me try it again down here. Let's see what happens. If I paint that butterfly down here, and I already had sampled it, so I don't really have to resample it. And because I unchecked extras, I don't really see that crosshair anymore, so I have to be a little extra careful. I click and let go, and notice it didn't really exactly clone that butterfly. This butterfly down here at the bottom is a little bit darker because it blended it with that dark background. So the healing brush tool is more of a blending tool as opposed to a cloning tool. So it's a little bit different. So typically when I'm touching up a photograph, I'll usually start with the clone stamp tool, and I'll work as long as I can with it, and then I'll end up actually using the healing brush tool to adjust or blend my healing areas or my cloned areas. You can also use the spot healing brush. Let's say I want to get rid of some of these spots on the butterfly. I can use the spot healing brush by clicking on an area, and it's automatic. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Photoshop's just sampling an area around wherever you click, and it's kind of blending that area, kind of like the healing brush tool did. It just blends an area. So you see I can get rid of some lines by using this. Not going to be able to allow every feature of this butterfly's wing to be healed completely, but it will get rid of a lot of the lines pretty easily, pretty quickly, just by clicking and dragging over them. And I'm just dragging in little sections because sometimes it will mess up. It'll sample from an area that I really don't want it to sample from, and the larger the brush is, the more it tends to mess up like that. You can you have your settings up here at the top. Of course, this is your size, hardness, and you can also adjust your spacing, which is where it's sampling from. So it will sample from different areas of the image that you're using. And so that one works pretty nice. Sometimes it's smoother than others, and you see little spots in my image that are kind of popping out. It's not working quite as fine as I would like it to. Now, like I mentioned, I typically work with the clone stamp tool first. I'm going to adjust the size to be a little bit smaller, and I'm going to kind of click on a good area down in my image. Let me zoom in just a little bit, make this easier on my eyes. I'm going to hold down the Option key, click once on a good area, let go of everything, and again, I don't have the line checked, so I'm just going to click and dragging over this area, and I'm just going to let go for a second, and I'm going to click and drag over a little bit more, let go, click and drag, let go, click and drag, let go. And you just kind of got to build it out like by doing that. Click, drag, let go, click, drag, let go, click, drag, let go. Because the line's not checked, it's sampling from the same exact spot. In fact, what I'm going to do, because this area is a little bit lighter in the wing, I'm going to hold down the Option key again, resample, click, let go of everything. Now I'm going to sample up, and that works okay. Kind of got a few spots there, but I can go back over it with the healing brush or spot healing brush, either one. I'll try with this spot healing brush, and just kind of click and drag over an area, and that blends it together, makes it nice and smooth, kind of blends those colors together. So the right wing is becoming a little bit more yellow, I guess, a little bit smoother than the other wing when I was just using this spot healing brush. I was just using that other brush on that other wing. So by using those tools in combination with one another, you can quickly make images look like you wanted them to look to start with, or you can make a whole new species of butterfly if that's what you're going for.